I'd like to remind my colleagues why we're here. The five of you are very presentable. You put a happy face on the difficult situation. But here's the reality. 25 years in a row, your agencies, these problems have come before Congress. 25 years in a row. This is the all-star team of problems. That's the reality. You can try to put lipstick on this pig, but the reality is, it's ugly. To get on this list, you have to be engaged in waste, fraud, and abuse in excess of $1 billion a year. Now, to get off the list, granted it's not easy, but here are the criteria for getting off the list. Leadership commitment, agency capacity. You have to have an action plan. You've got to be monitoring efforts and show progress. That seems like a reasonable 5 sets of criteria that you can accomplish. I have the scorecard according to GAO. 25 years in a row, you failed to meet hit the criteria on those 5. And consequently, that's why we're highlighting this. I think you're all well-intentioned. I think you're all very talented individuals. But the massive bureaucracy within the organizations that you represent here today, it's failing to meet these modest goals. And that's what's so frustrating. Things are going to pop up. Challenges are going to rise. But 25 years in a row is just not good enough. I heard we're making measurable progress, Six Sigma levels, good news to report. I'm sorry. You don't have good news to report. The bad news is you're back again. We don't want to keep having these hearings. We want to show the progress. And I really do appreciate the good men and women who spent untold number of hours and literally years going through the details of what's happening within these departments and agencies. As a follow-up, I don't expect you to do this off the top of your head. One of my concerns is, who's held accountable? Like, who actually is held accountable? We asked, I think, at the very beginning, one of our members asked a good question about, has anybody ever been fired? I think it was Mr. Hurd who asked, has anybody been fired? Anybody dismissed? Anybody transferred by not meeting these goals? We have thousands of good quality people who work for the Federal Government. These are employees who wake up, they're patriotic, they work hard, they're trying to do their best. But somehow, some way, in these 5 areas, it's totally fallen down. We're not achieving the goals. Again, the criteria put forward by the GAO doesn't say that you have to solve this. It needs to say that you're on the trajectory to actually getting it solved. So part of the follow-up that we would appreciate is, who's held accountable? What happens if you don't meet these goals? Because some of these are astronomically large. I mean, we're talking hundreds of billions of dollars. If you just you want to wipe out the Federal deficit, you just look at the uncollected taxes and the problems that we have in waste, fraud, and abuse going out the door through HHS. That more than wipes out all the deficit just right there, just those 2 things. It's not very easily done. But the waste, the fraud, the abuse, and you look at the people who work hard and pay their taxes and they're doing everything that they can, and then they hear hundreds of billions of dollars going out that's either not collected or going out erroneously, and the waste and the fraud and the abuse, they just throw up their hands. Their $2,500 means something in their lives, and yet the numbers here are so big. I do not understand why the 5 that are highlighted here, there's 6 programs, 2 at the Department of Defense, why you can't hit those 5 goals. And according to the GAO, like the Medicare program, they've only met 1 of the 5 goals, 4 partially. On the 2 DOD programs, met 1 of the 5 criteria. 4 are partially met. At the Department of Energy, 1 partially met, 1 fully met, 3 not met at all. So 25 years in a row. I don't want to come back and have this same hearing at the beginning of the next Congress. I want you all to solve it. The committee would like to know and hear from you, how are you going to do that? How are you going to do that? And again, difficult for you to answer, but I'm telling you, y'all have painted a pretty picture. It ain't so pretty. But we want to see what it is you're actually doing. What is the action plan to create an action plan? That's the hope and goal, and that's my concern. And with that, I want to yield back.